Hello and welcome to this episode of Let's Make Tea, where we gather, make tea, sip it, and spill it. And in other words, it's a place where we can yap uninterruptedly. Today we will be speaking about the literary space in Algeria with me, Djazia, and my beautiful co-host, Marie. We will talk about reading habits, recent publications, and the challenges and triumphs of the Algerian writer. So now, whether you're a reader, writer, or simply curious about the Algerian literary landscape, this episode will introduce you to its current pulse. So without any further ado, let me introduce you to my beautiful co-host, Marie. So hi there, Marie. How are you doing? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name is Marie, and I am a book fanatic. It all started when I was young. My father was a thespian, rest in peace, and he absolutely loved books. He was more of a bookworm than I am, really. I have a plethora of other hobbies, and they're all correlated, even though it takes me aback every time I think about it because it's what makes me. Yet I just disregard it. Anywho, I like whatever is tangible. I love to crochet, to knit, and my entire family does as well, honestly. We're a very multi-talented family. I love music. I love to create and to write and to create stuff with mud and wood. I love to sculpt and to carve. As long as I get to see something tangible that I made in my own hands, I'm happy.
That's very interesting. I actually feel so connected to innovative and gifted people because the idea of being all in with the art of creating is very human in its nature, and it's something that I love myself. Create, learn, and make stuff. There is this kind of unique, I don't know how to call it. It's so beautiful and I love it. Happiness when you see something, as you said, tangible, something that you made yourself. And I really like how you say that they're all related, because as much as we love to create, we would love to see what others had created. And that's something that I believe in, and that's exactly why we read. Just like you, Marie. And that's why I would love to know what actually controls your reading habits. How do you choose what to read? And what's the way you analyze and respond to what you're reading?
Basically, my own personal reading habits are mostly shaped by a little meld, a little mixture of instinct and intention. I usually choose a book based on one of three things. Well, from what I can think of now, it boils down to maybe three things. The emotional atmosphere of the book. I mean, this is a bit shallow, but I don't care. It's basically what I'm craving at that moment. When it's winter, I do crave long, fantasy, imbued, crafty kind of books. I don't know, it just has, the Harry Potter books or anything Robin Hobb. She writes incredible winter-based books, or even Don Quixote, which I'm gonna be rereading all throughout December. Another thing that I think about while picking up my next read is a sort of thematic question, something that I'm curious about. Sometimes I just pick up a random little read just because I am curious about something. For example, I was curious about Borges, right? I never read Borges before, and I picked up the Aleph. I was so in love. I was so in love. I couldn't stop. I read the Book of Sand. I read the library. I read the Library of the Babel. I read the Lottery. I kept going back and forth and back to back. I couldn't stop at all. So I usually try to meet something that I'm curious about. Another determining factor is probably the author's own voice. If it's something that I've encountered before. For example, my favorite foreign author is Neil Gaiman. I know, a little bit controversial, but he is the creator behind my favorite books and my favorite world and my favorite magical systems, So whenever something Neil Gaiman is in front of me, I will take it. I'll take it and I will hoard it and I will read it someday, if not now, next year, if not next year, whenever I have a child, and I'll read it to them. So the author's voice is very important, and it always adds a little thing. When I do start reading, I do mostly analyze the books by paying attention to their structure, their character psychology. I am a psych student, and that thrills me. It thrills me the sensory world of the text itself. I try not to analyze, to judge, but to understand what it is trying to say beneath its surface. I mean, there's a quiet truth all around it. For example, the last book I read that I did this with was John Didion's Plate as It Lays, and I didn't expect to find so much beneath the surface, but it's endless. It has this sort of quiet truth again, but once you see it for the first time, it becomes so loud. Oh my god, I like it. It's a feeling that you can only explain to another bookworm, and they're the only people that can actually understand what you're talking about. You know what I mean? It's like the opening of a new world, and all of these information and these realizations keep hemorrhaging from the book into your psyche, and it's just a beautiful feeling. There are also a lot of contradictions in books that I love to analyze. I like to read different perspectives and different views from different authors, or different views from the same author, and deal with their emotional weight behind the author themselves or the character themselves. For example, my favorite book of all time is A Little Life by Hannah Nagihara, and I often think of, well, mostly I think of Jude and of the emotional weight he has on me and had on me and probably will forever have on me. But sometimes I do think about Hania herself and the emotional weight she must have had on her to create Jude, you know, and the emotional weight she has after creating him and after subjecting him to all of those things. That matters a lot to me. I do say all of this, but at the same time, I sometimes honestly just pick a book because it's easy, because it's just gonna be fun, you know, and that matters as well. I do think that as readers we can be a bit confining, we can be, you know, we can gatekeep a lot, and I don't like that. I read everything, really.
That's actually very interesting. By the way, the emotional atmosphere is very essential, and it is exactly what draws me to Gothic literature. It's all about that. And when it comes to the author voice, I believe that it's the whole point of it, because when you read Ernest Hemingway and then you go read for, I don't know, James Joyce, Jane Austen, Nizar Qabbani, it's not the same, because each one of them has something different to say. Besides, the idea of being inside someone's head isn't just fiction. And even though you might have better experience than me, since you're a psychology student, I, myself as a layman, I do think that it's very unique, beautiful experience, sometimes painful. And I love how all the narratives and perspectives are projected in layers throughout these books. And it's, I would say, the reason why books are so books and stories, novels and fiction, non-fiction. That's exactly what makes it so, I don't know, enjoyable to me. That's actually very beautiful. I'm having fun now, but let's try to contextualize this a little bit. What can you tell me? Like, how do you see the modest Algerian readers' habits, and what can you say about them, about us?
So basically, I personally see us and most of the Algerian readers as very much hungry for meaning, you know, but we are undeserved by our local market. I see a lot of readers relying on translations, important bestsellers and all that. If you are ostracized, if you feel this kind of incessant, stupendous loneliness, you read Nietzsche, and you read Kafka, and you read Osamu Dazai, and you feel seen, and you feel less alone and stuff like that. But it's seldom that we find that here. And when we do have authors here that write that, we don't really give them the space to expand and explore. So we end up relying on translations, unfortunately. You know, not because they don't appreciate local voices, we do, but genuinely just because our distribution system doesn't expose us to enough local diversity. You know, at the same time, us as Algerian readers, we're very emotional readers. We have been through a lot. You know, our parents have been through a lot, our grandparents have been through a lot, and it all affects us. It all travels generation after generation. You know, there are some cultures that are all, for example, all skinny, forever skinny, or forever have specific physical traits. And a lot of factors play into that, of course, but one of the factors that is so unspoken about is generational trauma, which is absolutely insane yet fascinating at the same time. And so because of that, and because our ways of life and the quality of our life as Algerians, I see us as really, 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 really like looking and searching and yearning for meaning. We'd like to find stories that resonate with our lived experiences, our history, or identity, but it's difficult, so we end up trying to relate to other cultures because they have more chances into getting their voices heard. For example, I see a lot of us, and me included, I only like whenever I watch shows or read books and watch movies, relate to the the Mexican character or the Asian character and whatever person of color they decide to add into their show as a token, because there is no representation for Algerians, and when there is, we'll literally get called savages. We do look for stories that resonate with us, and I admire that about us and about our reading habits. There's a sincerity in, and I do wish for more success and more access, really, more variety and more trust in contemporary Algerian authors, because they are worth it.
Yeah, well, that's the case for all minority Mexicans, Asians, Algerians. And I would scream from the top of my lungs that we are not barbarians. And I hope that we first, as a community, would listen. And we're pretty much, as readers, controlled by our own market, as you said. And I feel bad for all of the great minds here in Algeria who has so much tenderness and meaning to give and write about. They're not given the space. The question that triggers me is that why aren't we given the platform to celebrate our own culture and art the way we should be? And the readers are truly in need for this kind of thing. And I can't find something or someone to blame for this, but I do feel like we as authors, starting by me myself, we should never stop celebrating our own culture and our own beliefs and identities. And that actually leads me to another question, which is, what is the one thing you notice in Algerian writers community and you didn't like as a reader, and why? Because you're citing a lot of good things, good qualities about Algerian writers, and now I would like to speak about the negative things,
So as a reader myself, one thing that sometimes disappoints me is when authors aren't equipped properly. The industry does reward speed over depth, and that plays into it. I also see a kind of pressure to write in certain accepted themes instead of experimenting with new forms or daring structures. As a reader, I do long for more risk-taking, more polishing, more freedom. I want to read about a character that went through Djazia-ep01, but people are scared to write about these things. Going back to the generational trauma, you don't have to talk about it, you don't have to mention it, but there's a kind of fear that lives in us towards these things. Even if you don't consciously talk about it, it is subconsciously planted into our psyche. There's a sort of, neuroplasticity in how it works. There's a sort of pathway in your brain that is made out of that fear, because we are raised by parents who went through العشرية السوداء, and so we carry that in us, whether we lived through it or not. And as a Gen Z, we didn't, but we carry it in us, and so we are restricted subconsciously, and are pushed by outside people and outside forces to write in specific accepted themes. I love when a writer trusts the intelligence of their readers and pushes boundaries, and I love when an editor, a publishing house, a literary agent, they trust in the intelligence of their writers and keep pushing them. I do hope to see that spirit grows.
I love how you touched the core of the issue, because I'm telling you, as an author, I do think that we Algerian writers are afraid of talking about certain things, certain issues, and certain themes, because they touch the social norms, and it is very sad, and it's very, very limiting for an Algerian writer. And I do admit that I fear sometimes publishing some stuff, because I know that would have some backlash and some, rejection from society. And I fear that, and it would be a rejection from my own family first before anything. And the way you speak about the Black Decade, it makes a lot of sense because it is true. In each house we have this. I don't know how to describe it, but it's always kept in my journals, and it's always hidden and covered. And I would love this one day. I would have the courage to actually, I don't know, read these kind of stories to my audience and to my. We're supposed to carry on the legacy, not make it look like it's some kind of forgotten nostalgia that's not supposed to be brought up. So I do agree with you with all of what you've said. Now, if we move to my other question, I would love to know, how do you see the English publishing landscape in this case, in here in Algeria, and what do you wish to change in it? Like,
our publishing landscape is full of passion. I have seen so much of this. Oh my god, I have seen so much poetry, so many stories, so many voices, but we suffer from structural limitations. Again, distribution is fragmented, marketing is almost non-existent, and many great books die quietly because they never reach the readers who would love them. I would love to see better national distribution, more professional editing, transparency in contracts, and a culture that values long-term literary careers rather than one-time releases. I see a lot of young writers that are only pushed to write a book once, get a table at a book fair, and that's it. There's no coverage for it, there's no distribution. I have so many foreign friends that would love to try the books that I try here in Algeria by Algerian authors, but they can't. They can't because we are so ostracized, we are so limited into our distribution, we are so inwardly bound. We're scared to go outside of ourselves because of our history. Because we've been raked completely, we've been colonized, with so many things have been stolen from us as a country, as a people, as a culture, and we are inherently scared of that still. However, the world will not change for us unless we make steps to change it, and I think this is one of them. Books are important. They are so important, and we don't see that importance.
So, well, Mari, I've said your name in every single accent that I know, but excuse me. You have a beautiful name, by the way. Anyway, I would love to thank you, because what you've said right now is something that I've been yapping about for years. And as a writer, I do see the passion, and I do see the love for writing and the love for expressing the poetry, the novels, the stories, the ideas. And the structure is lacking, yes. The editing is poor, yes. The marketing is absent. I can assure you, I've been there, and it's so limiting, just as you said, and it's very. It makes me feel so suffocated as an author, and I know that we have so much potential and so, as I said, a great mind, and they just need the right way to be introduced to the public, to our own, even this modest readers community. Other books and the other great minds can't have this kind of privilege of having the right structure and the right editing phase and the proper marketing for their book and for their work. Why isn't it delivered to the public in the right way? And it is something that we lack, not just in the English landscape, in every other the Arabic titles and the French titles, both of them have this kind of problem, and I do wish to fix it, and I do want to try my best to fix it. So yes, Marie, you're right, and we should try our best. And just to try our best, since we are speaking about it, can you please tell me which of the recent published titles in Arabic and English does grab your attention, and why? Because I have some titles in my mind, but I would like you to show yours, because you're the expert in this field.
Two come to mind, and they will forever come to mind. Unfortunately, I only have one as a physical copy. It is called Chronicles of a Kingfisher by Noor Kernani. My goodness gracious, I can yap and rave about this book forever. Plot? Check. Art? Check. I mean, oh my god, she is an artist. This is what I mean. Look at Noor. She writes beautifully. She put so much time. I had met her. She contacted me a year after she started writing her book, and then a year we moved forward since she contacted me, and she was still working on it, taking my opinions into heart and actually ameliorating her craft and changing everything that needs to be changed, and adding more beta readers, more arc readers, and actually listening to them and making the proper changes that benefit her and the book and us as readers. And that made me feel, and I know for a fact made a lot of her readers feel, so trusted. Again, going back to writers trusting their readers' intelligence. She did that beautifully. On the other spectrum of books, we have Wail's book, Wail Bughazi. He wrote Al-Qatl fully in Arabic. It is a stream of consciousness, non-fiction, relay on the nature of murder across timelines, countries, traditions, and hierarchies, across societal hierarchies. I loved it so much. Yet, knowing Wail, speaking with Wail on a personal level, he also faced a lot of restrictions. It's just sad to see this amount of talent and these kinds of brains and these kind of mentalities constricted. It's just a shame, but I enjoyed them nonetheless, and I'm vehement about them and about pushing them, and I will talk about them forever.
This is what I meant when I said these people, these artists, these Algerian authors need the platform for them to deliver these messages, to at least for the public to know about this art, this piece of art. Now that I'm holding the copy of her book, Chronicles of a Kingfisher, I just feel even more sad about how the industry is very lacking at the moment, and I do wish it would change. And I did add both of these books to my to-be read list: Al-Qatl by Ayman Bughazi and Chronicles of a Kingfisher by Noor al-Huda Kanani. And girl, I have absolutely enjoyed talking to you. It was so delightful and so beautiful, and I loved every single opinion you gave. I don't know, and I do believe that this one short podcast is not enough to address this. I don't know how to call it. It's not even an issue. It is an issue, and I wish we can have even a larger space where we can speak about this and actually try to fix it, and at least try our best to, if we can't fix the marketing here in Algeria, if we can't fix the distribution and the editing thing, at least we can read for them. At least we can be there and listen to whatever these authors and these artists here in Algeria have to say. And I think by saying that, I have reached the end of this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope that you guys did benefit from what me and Marie did share to you. And thank you so much. I will see you soon. Goodbye.